got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. got me locked in on condo. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, got me locked in on condo. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on condo. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on condo.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Gunnar, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
A big good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to PSGL F2. We are here for the final round of the championship. Season's gone in as quick as you like. What a season we've had here in PSGL F2, and it gets better. We've got a brilliant race coming up for you around the Miami Autodrome here in Florida near South Beach. What a race we are going to have here this evening, folks. But we're starting a little bit later, so we're going to get straight into things and take a quick look at your championship standings. Timon is just sorting out some issues. He will make an appearance at some point. Do not worry, ladies and gentlemen. I believe he is in the call, but let's just let him get everything sorted. So, your championship standings, of course. Weird round last week in Spain, I think it's safe to say, but it was Zorzo who took his first race win of the season. Zorzo, unfortunately, is not here this evening, so he won't be in that championship fight, but still a good points haul for him nonetheless. Or Matteo is the man leading by 11 points over NLR Newt, and then Newt 11 over FEO Zorzo. Diogo Silva, a high flyer this season, I think it's safe to say. He's fourth, and it's Danielle in fifth, followed by Covers, Ian Van Unen, Max van der Geest, Johan, Flopman, Dirk, Fede, Tales, Skyline, Phil, Dirk, Noel, Enzo, Carter, and Will Murdoch. Will, of course, had a very good race in Monza. He's actually here this evening, so we have another appearance from Mr. Olympian, as we like to call him. Let's take a look at your track map quickly before we get into the main swing of things, folks. It is, of course, the 19-cornered 5.410 kilometres. Oh, I have 5.412 in the notes, so maybe a little bit of a miscalculation on my behalf. But it is a 5.410 kilometre circuit, 3.363 miles with 19 turns. That record, of course, does belong to Max Verstappen. He's won both races here around the Miami Autodrome Nobody, topping the mighty Dutchman. 71% of the lap distance is taken at full throttle here in Miami because, of course, you have two long-ish straights. You have a full throttle section from turn 8 and a full throttle section from turn 16 to 17, and then, of course, 17 to turn 1, which is not as long. But without any further ado, I think we have let's have a few cars on the circuit, shall we? Do we have a timing alongside me?
We do. We
do.
We definitely do. It's a mess. EA servers doing absolute wonders by not allowing me to start multiple times in a row. But we're finally here, and hopefully I have not glitched the full lobby whenever we enter the race. I can see that happening, but then I blame the person who said that I had permission to join later. So, but yeah, unfortunately for you guys on the bad mic again, working from like a plan C, it's now gone to how it should normally be. But yeah, we are all ready for Miami, and Miami, in my eyes, an interesting race. I don't know if you guys may or may not have tuned in towards the PC side of things, but every single tier there was a very, very entertaining race, which all came down towards the very end. And I'm hoping that the PlayStation sides will be the exact same. Obviously, starting out with PlayStation F2 and then afterwards transitioning towards PlayStation F1. PC F1, hopefully with Jess and James, which is unsure just yet. So another good reason to stay watching with us a little bit longer. But now we already have the first lap starting. It is TF10 Skyline who is the first person to start his hot lap. And Sector 1 mainly is a sector where it's all about traction in the beginning. You want to brake early here, not go all that wide because you really need the best traction to survive Turn 2 and Turn 3. It's not fully flat. It's a little bit playing around with the throttle, and that's exactly what I meant with traction. It is very easy to go around the end. Skyline has shown exactly that. First lap, not a good one for Skyline.
No, not a great way to start your evening here at the Miami Autodrome. Let me know if the game audio is okay in the stream chat, of course, folks, because we can't hear it. We're looking at Shizou Macho heading through that fast first sector. Very difficult one, very difficult section of corners to nail, especially at such a high level of competition that is here at PSGL F2. But we'll wait and see how these drivers tackle it across the course of the qualifying session. It is the Ferrari who has had a relatively okay season, I think, or Ferrari, I should say. No, never mind. I read the team wrong. The bottom of the constructors with 4 points. That's a horrendous season. That's absolutely dreadful. So Ferrari had not had a good season. Timon, what have you caught?
Max has spun round and lost his wing. Oi, 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 oi. He has lost it at the same point as Skyline where he spun, but Max actually went in towards the wall, and he's lucky to have all 4 wheels still attached towards his car, but definitely wing damage for the Dutchman, and not the ideal start that he would have wanted to this qualifying session.
Oh, poor there for Max. Of course, remember Max Verstappen had a poor qualifying in Miami as well this year. Still came back and won the race, so we'll wait and see what happens. But Shizou Macho now rounding through the final corner. He'll be the first man to set the time. So it'll be a 26.3. And look, it's a time on the board. You can't really ask for much more than that. Dara Smith rounding with the final corner. It's great to have an Irish representative back. My bias can flourish. And we will see him, hopefully, have a successful endeavour here to finish the season. Dirk has gone to second. We're looking to get Matteo head under the highway. Here's big kick out of the rear, entering on towards the back straight. No corner names in this one, like Las Vegas. You don't have restaurants named after corners. You have the Hard Rock Stadium in the middle, of course, as Tales goes to second. Tales in a little bit of trouble for not cooperating with the stewards last week, so he's got to be careful not to pick up any more penalty points, or he may see qualifying or race suspension. But Tales, in this qualifying session, doing quite well. Go to second. Championship leader, what you got for us? It's got to be second. Splits the two. Macho is just 1500ths quicker. Tales 1500ths slower, so decent qualifying so far from the two Aston Martins. Covers now rounding on towards this back straight. Doesn't have the same slide Matteo does. Ian Van Unen actually goes quickest for the AlphaTauri team. Van Unen, of course, with a new teammate, TF10 Enzo. He's got Will Murdoch, however, joining him here this evening, so keen to prove a point maybe is Van Unen, and he goes quickest. We're looking at covers running for the final corner. Relatively close so far. Top 4, I should say, just under 2 tenths.
Yeah, certainly so, but that lap time for Ian Van Unen is a really, really good lap time. I was surprised by the lap time of Macho because I found that very competitive as a banker lap time. And then Ian Van Unen just doing a 26.1 is just absolutely incredible. I remember that eventually you want to be in the 25, so have a pretty good lap time. And Ian certainly showing off exactly what kind of banker lap you need to put down for that. I was on board a little bit with Knuf as well, and he definitely did not have the most ideal qualifying run for himself. He has gone back in towards the pit lane. I didn't see if he invalidated or not, but he missed a few apexes, and it didn't go all that well in the very narrow section of this track because it has a few straights, this track. It has a few flowing corners. It has a few very slow ones. Miami, pretty much a mix of all. Knowing Formula One, in a few years, we'll be doing pre-season testing here.
You're probably not wrong. We're going to let Zane in the middle sector. News, actually, sorry, I'm going to have to give a bit of context here. I was a bit bored with asking you guys every week who's going to take pole, so I changed it up a bit. And the poll for this evening is who qualifies in 6th. Newton and Skyline, both currently tied on 31%. They're currently 16 and 18th. I also said 15% of you have voted for someone else. The only name in the comment section is Timon. So best of luck on that regard, but I think they were more just saying that Timon is the GOAT, which of course we can confirm, rather than he's going to qualify in 6th position. But let's wait and see how qualifying plays out here. We're looking at Danielle. Oh, is that a new PSN I see? TRT, Danielle. TRT are not back, are they? Is TRT a thing again?
No, I don't think so. I would presume it is an Italian thing. TLT is not back. It had a revamp a while back, but it then closed back down again. Unfortunately for you, it's not back. But still, it is by far not the greatest team that there is. Vapor still clears TRT by so much, and that argument
that was a
will forever
TRT standard
there.
middle sector from Danielle. He's just invalidated his lap time. But TRT ran by a Northern Irishman. Of course, TRT James. Big shout out to James. Can't imagine he's watching, but big shout out to James nonetheless. I started my league racing days in TOT, left swiftly. Sorry for that, lads. Left pretty quickly, but nonetheless, TOT not back. However, we can reminisce over the old times. If you like esports championships, of course, go watch the old E-Series races. I probably have to tie it into sponsorship or something. But we're looking at Skyline, head through the middle sector, bumpy and bouncy over the curbs. That McLaren is running a very low ride height, it seems, because Skyline, that was not the smoothest of middle sectors I've ever seen. His teammate currently causing a yellow flag in the middle sector. Speaking of Irishmen, that is, of course, Dara Smith, who's a reserve representation for this evening. Your usual McLaren lineup is Skyline and Dark. Just Skyline here this evening, very wide of the final corner. Skyline, is this lap going to be good enough for 6th? I'd be questionable of it. Across the start-finish line, it's only 11th, and that is about 3 thousandths of a second, yep, behind his teammate Dara Smith. So we'll wait and see how that one plays out. Max van der Kiest, of course, caught Fimon's eye in the earlier parts of the session, not for the right reasons. He spun and broke his front wing, and he's on a second lap here now, entering in towards this tricky middle sector. You can actually pull off an overtake through here if you play your cards nicely. That was quite... spoke too soon maybe. That was quite nice from Max van der Kiest, but bit of rear sliding. So 101-1 in the middle sector. It's gone purple. Whether that's true or not, cannot confirm nor deny. Cody's at it once again in terms of their sector graphs, but we'll wait and see. Van der Kiest going to be braking for the final corner, one of the trickier ones on the calendar, and just as I say that, massive snap under the braking. This is not going to be the greatest lap in the world for Max van der Kiest. That's going to cost him dearly. He could still go into the top 10. He'll go 6th. Definitely more time in that lap, though. There was a rear slide coming out of turn 16, and of course the sliding in the braking of 17.
Yeah, certainly. I just want to put it for the record that Flopman now going to it, but that's not what I wanted to say. If you are bored and you want to play a fun little game, of course only if you're 18 plus, take a shot every time Evan mentions that Derek is Irish, because you would already be on 3. But besides that,
Derek.
I think you will be feeling very good at the end of the day. But if we go on board with everyone's favorite Irishman, Derek currently coming through towards the second sector. He was already going 0.3 of a second quicker than he was going previously in sector 1. So that means that he's on a very good start, and jumping those two middle those two curbs, it seemed very well, pretty smooth. Of course, those curbs, not really RNG, but it does somewhat feel and look like it. Let's see what he can do now when he's coming up towards the end of the lap. But I think Derek is on for a pretty nice one.
You've all bullied me so much this season for my European surname pronunciations. It's so nice to hear an Irish one be butchered for a change. Don't pronounce the G. Just say the first bit of it. Don't ignore the GH. Oh, he's not ignoring. He's not ignoring the pace here. It doesn't matter what your name is if you can produce a lap like that. That's second for Dara Smith. Ian Van Unen is still on top and on a second run, which goes to show that he's back and he means business. Van Unen may have left for a little bit, but he never really did. He's always been competitive in PSGL F2, and he's a good lap here, though, because he is under some pressure. He's improving by 1/10.5 on what's already looking like a fairly unbeatable lap. Ian Van Unen is cooking around this Miami Autodrome circuit.
A 29-0 first sector split is very, very competitive. Certainly haven't really seen that many people dip in towards the 28 yet, besides a few people that I've been spectating who I should not mention the name of right now since there's a little bit of controversy around them. But Ian Van Unen currently with a pretty solid middle sector once more. And let's see, because I don't know where the middle sector split is here. I've looked for it.
Just on the exit of that corner, actually. Literally, it's right on the exit. It's a really weird one.
And I didn't see the split. Is he improving or not?
He is. Actually lost a bit of time, mind you, but still 0.125 up. Had another rear slide out of that corner. May have cost him a little bit. In towards turn 17, though. Nicely controlled from Ian Van Unen, and then in towards the left-hander and flicking it towards the right-hander. Flat out through these two corners, of course, in dry conditions. Ian Van Unen does improve. And by almost the same time he was improving in that middle sector. You know what? I thought there was going to be a bit more in that one. I thought that lap was easily going to break into the 25s, considering how impressive that first sector was. But maybe still beatable for now. Danielle goes to 5th, the Italian jumping up the order for Haas. He's currently the only Haas inside the top 10, with Phil in 11th. But that's still not bad for Phil, who unfortunately had a bit of a shambolic Spanish Grand Prix, but said he didn't do the practice, said he didn't put the work in, and he was going to try and improve it this week. Challenging for the championship, Enelor Newt, currently in 15th position. Qualifying has not been his best friend lately. It was a terrible qualifying in Spain, even by maybe his standards, because he's well aware that qualifying is not his strong suit, but he's got to get fairly close to that top 10 if he wants to try and claw back 11 points in the championship. Thankfully for him, Matteo's still in 8th, just ahead of his teammate, and is also parked to the left-hand side of the circuit. There they both are in camera shot. Netflix, there's your camera shot. Put that in your documentary. The two of them are side by side here in qualifying. Look, I'll even give you a bit of commentary. Oh, he's holding up Ganelon. No, but that is the championship fight. It's between those two, and it's going to go down to the wire because they are so close on pace, and it seems like even luck-wise, they're both so close. Because when Newt has a bit of bad luck, Matteo also has a bit of bad luck, such as last week. But we'll wait and see how it goes. Cars pulling into the pit lane to prepare for their final runs of the qualifying session. If you're enjoying the action so far here in PSGL, we'd once again like to remind you to pop a subscription on the YouTube channel. It literally costs you nothing, and it supports the league greatly.
I was going to say something, but I forgot.
Well, that's a brilliant addition to the program.
That is incredible when you need to wait for your co-commentator to stop talking because you have a line that you want to say, and as soon as it turns to you, you're like,
"Don't put the blame on me."
Oh, always am, mate. Always am. I was gonna say that was your only shot at ever doing Drive to Survive is ruined, because of that insult.
Ouch.
But all the drivers having now done their second run, the only person still somewhat on a lap, I do believe, is Fede, who has not set a single valid lap time yet. And I'm unsure if Will Murdoch is still in this session because he got kicked a while back, and I don't think he has rejoined as of so far. Fede going towards the line, he puts himself up in 8th. Many drivers on a 0.3. If we can just give a little bit of attention to that. We have. These are all people with a 0.3, by the way. It is a 9, 11, 16, 22, 25, 36, 40, 41, 56. Those are all pretty much. You have, how many drivers is that? It is like 8 drivers within half a 10th. That's pretty close, if you ask me.
Well, if Phil improves by just over 1/10 of a second, he could go from 13th to like second row of the grid pretty easily here. Which goes to show how mad it is, and what a mad conclusion we're going to have here to qualifying. You can never really rule anyone out in a PSGL qualifying session, to be brutally honest, but we'll wait and see how it goes. In the battle of who qualifies in 6th, it's currently Danielle who's taking the crown. None of you have voted for in the stream chat. Covers now currently leading the procession. I feel it's like Covers has not been sixth once in this session. He's actually been above it for the entire session, yet his vote keeps increasing. There's not much faith in the Dutchman, who is quite good in qualifying. He was the king of qualifying at the start of this season for a little bit, but results have kind of escaped him really, time, and he's not really brought in the big points when he necessarily needs to.
Well, you know that I'm always incredibly positive about all the drivers.
Except Shizu Null.
Except everyone. But yeah, some drivers have showed some good results, others not so much. But some drivers have really just put it down towards their attendance. But there are a few people who have been there very often, and one of those people is Covers, and he's just had a little bit been unlucky in many races. I'm sure that with a little bit more luck on his side, he would be up there. But I'm pretty sure I could say that for every single driver that is currently up on this grid. Where maybe cannot say it for is Jacob Gonias, because the only thing he needs to hope for right now is skill, because you do not need any luck in qualification unless you get blocked. Of course, then you are pretty unlucky. But Jacob Gonias currently on his lap, and that looked like he fully missed the apex. But of course, Jacob Gonias being from Australia or New Zealand, I might have just
not Australia.
I believe it is Australia. His internet connection may be a little bit shady, but that first sector split is very close, a few thousandths of a second off the first sector split from Ian van Unen. So if he keeps it up like this, he should be on for a very good qualifying run. But all the time is made or lost in towards the middle and the last sector, really. And especially over towards the two corners that are coming up right now. You have this left-hander immediately followed in towards a right and a left. Right, and he goes a little bit wide. They're losing like a tenth or two already from what I can see. But now the sector split there, it is quite a good sector split. 0.6 of a second improvement. That means that he's currently on for a 0.3, which can mean that you're either 13th or you're 5th. But now in the final sector, this is a moment where he needs to do very well. And let's hope for him that he does not get blocked. Everyone moving out the way very, very nicely. It just means that Jacob Gonias, in theory, would have reserved himself for doing 2 runs because he might have been scared for an invalidation, but he did not invalidate. Going towards the line now, no more ERS to go towards the line, and that is the high end of things. It is a 0.4, and that is only 14th for the Australian.
You would have seen there a couple of 5-second or 5-place grid drops, I should say. Don't worry, ignore those completely. They will be removed and we'll have a lobby restart. So Van Unen can still take pole position into the middle sector, slightly slower than his previous best, but it's literally by a fingernail. So keep an eye on that. Here comes Dara Smith. Oh, it's Tank Slapper into the wall and out. Not out of the session, but out of contention for pole position is the Irishman, and he is not going to be taking pole. There's another one for your game timing, but we will wait and see. Van Unen, all slidey in the middle sector. This lap is not as silky smooth as the first one was, and that may open an avenue of opportunity. That's invalid for me and Van Unen. Here comes Covers towards the start-finish line. Can he steal it? Wow. He can! Covers is on pole position for the Miami Grand Prix, but he could be beaten. Danielle goes to third, not able to beat him quite now. Here comes his teammate Flotman. Very good middle sector for Flotman across the line. He steals it from his Dutch teammate. Flotman takes the crown. But once again, it's provisionally. We've got a lot of quick drivers on quick laps, including your championship protagonists. Matteo is heading on towards the back straight as well. He's found time. How's Newt performing? Newt has found 0.4 of a second in the middle sector. Do not rule him out for now. Here comes Matteo towards turn 17. We saw Max van der Geest have a bit of a mistake here. He's gone 9th. Let's see what Matteo can do. Round the final corners. What a lap this would be if he could take pole for the Miami Grand Prix across the line. It's second row of the grid for him. Can Newt pip him here in qualifying? No. Newt is 15th. It's another qualifying disaster for your championship leader in retrospect to his fellow rival. Here comes Zane across the line. He goes to 12th. Macho is down on his time. Skyline is into the pit lane. It is a Mercedes 1-2 at the Miami Autodrome, but it's not the man who set the lap first. It was the latter who has found success. Flotman is on pole for the Miami Grand Prix. Your 6th place champion was TF10 Dirk.
I mean, you might as well call him TF6. No, not funny. I mean, you got ET8, TF10. If you go down this way in number-wise, there surely must be a team. You also got F7R. I mean, which team? Maybe you should found a team.
I used to have a team. We won 7 championships or something on Gran Turismo but that's not really relevant, is it?
Yeah, but Gran Turismo isn't really it, is it? Either way, we have the final standings coming up, and both Mercedes are in a 1-2 position. Question is, will they work together? I mean, both OP teammates, and I think that they both know who's the main threat throughout this race. It is Armateo and Ian Van Unen, really, because these two drivers have been very quick throughout the season. So Flopman on pole, Covers in second, Armateo in third. Then you've got Ian Van Unen, Daniel, TF10 Dirk, Darek Smith, Phil, Johan, and Max. And then outside of the top 10, you've got Ghost King, Zane, Macho, Fede, Dallas, Knoof, only in 16th, Jacob Gonias, Diogo Silva, Skyline, and Will Murdoch not setting a single fastest valid lap. And only now rejoining the session. I know that we will be doing a restart. Hopefully, we'll stay in this session because it is an absolute nightmare to get in a session nowadays on F1. It's like they just want to not have us make us have fun. But at the end of the day, we're going to see a quick little practice start. And I can tell you, I don't think it will go all that smoothly.
Well, folks, we will be back in a couple of moments. We're going to go to a short commercial, and then we'll have a quick discussion before the Miami Grand Prix. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PSGL F2. What a qualifying we had here at the Miami Autodrome. Bit of controversy, actually. Seemingly, Newt complaining, bit of a blockage in the chicane, and that's actually why we saw him down the order. But Timon, really, the pressure is mounting for Newt. He's got to outscore Matteo by a substantial amount of points. We've only got 3 rounds left. Realistically, Matteo beats him today. It could be all over by next week.
It definitely could. It definitely could be. And there's one man who's on the sidelines, probably watching, hoping that both of these drivers do have an absolute stinker. Zorzo, I mean, the only thing he can do now is watch and hope. Really, because Knoof right now not in the greatest position, so he's happy with that. But the current championship leader, Armateo, in 3rd place, is in a very promising spot. And again, he has got 3 drivers who are very, very fast all around him. And he might just want to sit with them and chill and make sure it all goes well. And if I was Armateo, the only thing I would do is sit in that train, bit 1 lap later, lose a few positions, and then on the overcut, just make sure that you drive all the way back. And just get a very good result. And on Miami, I'll mention this now. 2 strategies are the go-to here. It is in PSGL PCF2, I do believe. The person who got second was the person who made the biggest undercut, and the person who finished first was the person with the biggest overcut. So it will be many people doing undercuts, and then there will a few solo people be doing overcuts, and there will be an absolute bullet through the field. So definitely, towards the end of this race, be prepared because it will be very, very entertaining.
Okay, that's interesting. Also, Timon, by the way, there is a new lobby, just in case you didn't see it. But that's very interesting because it means we're going to have a split strategy here this evening. And remember, it's also a street circuit. I know it's a permanent facility, but there's walls very close to the track. We saw Darragh Smith hit one in qualifying, of course, but we'll wait and see. Wait and see what happens. A lot of people getting error codes joining this new lobby. I'm praying for the best because so far it's not been a successful endeavour for PSGL this evening. We've had it fine, but F1 might have a bit of a different lineup for later. We'll keep you updated no, we won't keep you updated on that. You'll find out at 8 o'clock. But make sure to tune into our other tiers, of course, after we conclude the action here. Let's have a quick read of the stream chat, shall we? Avatar saying 3 drivers so close, nice quali. I have to agree. Fantastic qualifying. Really great conclusion. Provatics, apologies if I've made a meal of that, says Covers does not have any motivation for the game, so don't think he does much practice. Now, I would believe that, but he's also very quick still, Timon.
Oh, he certainly is, and you don't have to doubt that at all. The pace, the talent that Thomas has is really, really quick. I mean, he showed it already doing a 0.9 here. I mean, I've seen my drivers practice, and like in practice session, you can do a 0.9, you can do a 0.8, and if you really peak, you can even do a 0.4. But at the end of the day, he's just proving it at the right moment, putting himself in the right position. But now it is all up towards the race. Getting a little bit more lucky is the thing that Covers will want, and that he just really, really needs. And he's setting up the grid already whilst not having chosen the car himself. So hopefully he realizes that and doesn't make the whole grid. There we go. He's chosen a car. That would have been sad. Him just setting up the whole grid and then only putting one person wrong, and that's himself because he didn't select a car. But most of the drivers are now starting to get back in towards the lobby. And in my eyes, Evan, there are only 4 people who can really win this race. It is Flopman, Covers, Armateo, or Ian. Who do you think will win? Is it anyone from those 4? Is it someone completely different? I'm going to ask you the question this time.
Ian. Ian is my pick. I think he's going to win because he's just really quick.
A very quick and confident answer.
But usually I'm very wrong. So if you see my Champions League predictions, you'd know they're not good.
I was going to go for Ian. You've now stolen my. I'll go for Flopman then. Because I know that Flopman, as a reserve in this scene, or in this tier, he's only had really good results. Apart from the last one in Spain, where he was leading or in the front the whole time, and then got that last late safety car. So I think Flopman here is the man to watch out for.
He's only had 3 races, and one of them was a podium, so that's a third podium, right? So decent for Flopman. He's of course covering for Zorzo here this evening, and Zorzo, of course, is winner of the last race. So very good omen for Mercedes. I unfortunately don't have the graphic for the Constructors' Championship, but Mercedes are only 13 points off Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship. Then it is Alpine, Williams, Red Bull, Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, Ferrari. So we will wait and see. Everything is being set up now, so we should be going shortly. Also, another debate we had here once was, is Julian Alvarez a better striker than Erling Haaland? I'm just going to showcase my support for Timon's agenda. There's the Argentinian jersey on. But, yeah, it's just... we've had a lot of restarts this season. We were doing hot laps around Japan at one point as well. But... let us know down below your prediction for this race. I'd absolutely love to hear from you guys in the stream chat. Avatar is saying, if there is no hard battle, if drivers have patience, everyone has a chance to win. Yep, completely agree there. Would love to see some more predictions. You predicted Covers and Newt to finish 6th in qualifying. We had 27 votes. They were tied on 33%. So, interesting to see that, mind you. We'll wait and see how the race plays out, shall we, folks? But, yeah, big thanks to all of you tuning in to PSGL F2. We should be going very shortly. But let's take another look at your track. Here it is on screen, of course. Florida hosted one Formula 1 race before Miami. That was the 1959 Grand Prix at Sebring. It's the 11th different location in the United States to host a Formula 1 race. Las Vegas, of course, being the 12th, and then New York will be the 13th, Seattle will be the 14th, and we'll keep going on until Liberty Media run out of money. There's 36 versions of the circuit proposed before this was the selected layout. There's a lot of different opinions about the layout, but honestly I don't think it's half bad considering the circumstances. It was the 77th track to host a Formula 1 race. Of course, Las Vegas was the 78th then, and dare I say Jeddah was the 76th? Because I know we had Jeddah after Qatar. Yeah, Jeddah was the 76th. That's a bit of a guess there. But 1984 was the last time F1 had 2 races in the United States before 2022. That was Dallas and Detroit that were back to back. Of course, Dallas no longer a motorsport venue, really. Detroit has a brand new street circuit for IndyCar around the Motor City. 85,000 yards of asphalt were laid to create the circuit. It is a permanent racing facility around the Hard Rock Stadium, which is, of course, home to the Miami Dolphins. There is more venues that have hosted Formula 1 in the United States than the Miami Dolphins scored points against the Kansas City Chiefs on Saturday night. If you're a Miami Dolphins fan, please don't leave the stream, I'm sorry. That one didn't flow off the tongue, by the way. Very much aware of that. Came up with that on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, we are both the biggest NFL fans that there are. Honestly, I watched the Dolphins game last night because I was bored. and I saw how terrible they were, and I saw like just 3 touchdowns happen. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is not exciting to me. And then I actually put it in a different Discord where I knew were a bunch of Americans, and I started to trigger all of them with how bad the Dolphins were, because apparently it is quite a big and popular club based in Miami, which I saw only based off of Evans's tweet. So besides that, I wouldn't have known.
Well,
We should
they're
make a
called the Miami Dolphins, Timon. Where the hell did you expect them to be?
mate, you just see a logo, yeah, when they're
Oh, fair
when they're
enough. Fair enough. I didn't know you didn't know they're from Miami. But they are the Miami Dolphins. Fun fact about the Hard Rock Stadium, actually. It's purposely
Oh.
designed so that the away team's sideline is about 20 to 30 degree Fahrenheit warmer than the opposition team, and they also force them to wear dark kits, because the Dolphins wear white at home, which means the other team has to wear dark kits, so there's obviously no kit clash, meaning that they literally try to dehydrate the opposition team to beat them. Unfortunately, for a team that's used to playing in warm weather, they were playing in the coldest NFL game of all time in Kansas. So, yeah, Taylor Swift was in attendance, and she wasn't the problem. The cold weather was. We're going to stop this travesty and go to a commercial break. The Miami Grand Prix is coming up in a matter of moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Miami Grand Prix. You're watching PSGL F2 with Evan Dalton and Timon and Blank, and it's a big thank you for joining us. We have the Miami Grand Prix coming up we'll be heading to the grid in about... Hold on, let it
About now.
I was going to say about now, but I have a black screen, which is
there we
now. Here's the Miami pit building. But Timon, I know we discussed this during the break. Has your opinion changed on who's going to win this, or are you still going for flop?
No, it's a flop, man. I mean, I think the talk about Taylor Swift definitely didn't change on who I think was going to win this race. No, flop man's been very quick this whole time around. But let's talk a little bit about strategies here, because there's really only a few strategies possible. And in my eyes, it is most people who will be starting on towards the hards. And then making a pit stop towards the mediums. You can pit on lap 14 all the way towards lap 20. That is the pit window. It is pretty big here. The ideal moment to pit is lap 17, and then you got undercuts, and then you got overcuts. So it's going to be interesting to see really what happens here. But I'm expecting most drives to be in the hard tires. Maybe a single person on towards the softs who wants to be making some positions. Maybe Knuf. But the last time he has been doing the aggressive strategy, it didn't go also well for him because he picked up damage and he lost lots of time. But drivers are now starting to pick the setups, select fuel, etc. And I think we will be starting very, very shortly.
I don't know about you, but I'm thinking Flopman P2. No, in terms of this Grand Prix, this is going to be a really interesting one. Bas Bremer, chief strategist for the Mateo machine, says he's got a strat in his hands. Let's see how it plays out here at the Miami Autodrome. 5 red lights, and we go racing here in the United States. It's a good start for the two Mercedes off the front row. Great start for Danielle, up to 4th on the outside of Ian Van Noonen. But the AlphaTauri breaks late, and it looks like Mateo tries to hang it around the outside of Thomas Cubbers. Great move for Mateo. He's already up to 2nd here and looking to hunt down the Mercedes. That started from the pole position, side by side here. Danielle and Dara Smith in towards the very tricky S's, and that's great racing from the pair of them. But Danielle has to vacate the racing surface. Obviously felt that if he didn't Flopman. There was a collision coming and he chose the wise option. Goes off the circuit safely, rejoins safely. There'll be no real issues with that one unless he picks out an outside penalty from the game, which he might get removed. Field side by side here with Max van der Gies. There was no real big losers on the opening lap apart from Jacob Conius, who's fallen to the back of the field and he's lost 3 positions. It's a slipstream fest. Down towards the left-hander of turn number 11. This is Dara Smith on the inside of Danielle. These two still fierce fighting. Dara Smith comes out on top.
Certainly so. I've been on board with Knut for the most time, but it is pretty clean at the back here. It is still very chaotic. It is side by side, a little bit of contact there, contact with Knut, but no real damage there. Ghosting a little bit all through each other. Again, some contact with Knut, and that is just not ideal for his championship contention. There's a big gap now, over a second, and the question will be if he's able to drive that back. Well, let's go back towards the mid back there. Danielle is very close at the back of Derek Smith, and he's got Max van der Gies behind him as well. Max, the only person who's decided to go on a different set of tires. He started on the mediums and he will be going towards the harder set of tires a little bit earlier than anyone else, making that undercut and making that jump. The only question is if it will be really worth it. You need to get past Danielle first, and he seems to be really struggling with that for the moment. But Covers nearly dropped outside of a second. It is Swapman and Amateo who've put the pace very highly already, both on around 40% of ERS, and Covers is on 60, but he is once again letting the DRS train go. I believe he's done it before earlier on in the season and was able to catch back onto it later on. Maybe he thinks that he's got better pace than Flopman and he's able to drive it fully back at a later moment, but Amateo's got 7/10 of a gap as well. So as soon as the DRS gets on, you will be able to fully close out gap back down. And Covers now having to burn a little bit of ERS as well. So Covers and Flopman equal amounts of ERS. The question is Covers able to drive the DRS zone back? And then also Dirk, for example, in P5, driving over that curb on the inside there, losing lots of time as well. And again, himself out of the DRS train already. So because of high pace from Flopman and Amateo, there are massive gaps already in this train. And that already impacts this race a lot. So the overcut a lot less likely already.
Yeah, it is a lot less likely. What actually happened there when Youth was Tales had a massive tank slapper heading out of turn 16, hit the wall and ricocheted back across the circuit, somehow avoiding different cars. And look at this Dara Smith and Danielle fight rages on, almost being pushed into the left-hand wall there was poor Danielle, but oh, bit of contact between the two. Oh, and now there's even more contact between the two, and Danielle is potentially an innocent victim in that one. Dara Smith just hit the side of the car. There was a bit of F123 physics involved in that one, that's for sure, but unfortunately the Italian has now gone falling down. They've got Dara Smith now fighting for his life to try keep with the two Red Bulls. Johan has got the position there, and of course Max van der Gies capitalising on the moment on the back straight as well. That one is certainly going to be looked at by the post-race stewards, you feel. Van Unen got past Covers, and actually that is beneficial for Covers because they're now back within DRS. Flopman almost dropping a second already. We've seen impressive wins in the past here in Miami. We saw, of course, Ray take or OP Ray he was at the time in F2, take a huge win at the Miami Autodrome, then did it a week later in Spa, and that resulted in him being promoted to F1 and never looking back. Can't imagine there'll be many promotions after this one because we're so late in the race, but Flopman certainly looking to turn the eye of the league organisers and maybe take a win here.
That definitely is the case. You screamed so hard whenever that contact happened. They didn't only lag out or lag incredibly hard in the Discord call, but also the whole stream froze. So it's really shown that you put a little bit of emotion in there. Stream is all good now. You just had a solid 3 seconds where the game was just fully frozen, which I found pretty funny. But Dirk now 2 seconds behind everyone else, and Covers again as well on the verge of being let go of that DRS train, and Ian Van Unen just in third place, positioning himself again in a perfect moment. And what I said exactly at the end of qualifying, you have this top 4, which is in a train, which is very quick. Flopman, Amateo, Ian Van Unen, and Covers. Is Covers the first man to lose out on this train? That is really the question. And you would have once more a PSGL PCF4 situation. Again, probably you guys did not watch it, but there you had a top 3 who had gone loose from everyone else. You had one person who did a big undercut, one person who did it at the normal moment, and one person who did a big overcut. And the person that won it didn't really matter because all 3 cars came towards each other on the final lap of the race. That is pretty much how it works with strategies around it. So once more, if we have just a group of 3-4 cars going away, you can really do every single strategy and it will come down all towards this final lap. So definitely stay here because it will be getting crazy very soon.
Even in 0.3 of a second off Matteo in third place. This is getting close up the top again. This is going to be a really close one. It seems like it's going to be a bit DRS training until the start, maybe like the Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya last week, but we'll wait and see. Apologies if my screen was that loud. I thought it was okay, and Wi-Fi is usually what crashes streams time, and not me screaming, but nonetheless.
Well, I can tell you, certainly, whenever that moment happened, you lagged out in the Discord call, which may have been that your mic went over, and whilst doing so, it maybe just gave your laptop a little bit of an error. That's the only thing I could presume there, but luckily it's all still good.
It's usually Wi-Fi that causes, but that's an argument for another day. We did drop frames.
Then it's Irish Wi-Fi, but it is a pure coincidence.
Well. Apologies, folks. Please do let me know if my mic is unbearable at any point, because it's new. I'm still learning the ins and outs, and when I'm talking like this, it comes up too low, and I start to get excited. It's too high. I don't know. There's no winning in life, and that's what we've discovered here. But Ian Van Unen might be looking to win in a PSGL race because he is right behind Matteo, dropping further afield down the grid. Honestly, it surprised me that no one else has gone for the mediums, or even maybe a gambler on the softs. Actually, sorry!
Ian! He spun, I think. I don't know if it was contact. And at that point where he's gone round, I must assume that it is just a slight bit of contact between himself and Covers. But he could have also fully lost it on his own. But Ian Van Unen, going from being very solidified in towards that top 4 train, he's now gone down all the way towards 13th. He is the man that could lead Knuf back towards the front, but Covers now has dropped outside of the DRS zone as well, and he's got no ERS, and he's still in front of Max van der Geest, who's unable to get in the DRS as well, making a little bit of a mistake there, going slightly wide, but Covers is now getting in trouble as well. He has DRS on this slow, or on this short straight, but if Flopman and Armateo use a little bit of ERS work together, they can guarantee themselves a 1-2 position and really make Covers suffer. But Covers, I do believe he has driven himself amazingly back in towards the DRS train.
And just as I said, Ian was looking to win the race, he goes spinning down the order. He is ahead of Skyline, so he's not quite under risk from Newt, but Newt's championship is slowly slipping away from him in this race. This is not a good performance. He's got to start trying to get through the field. It's a lot easier said than done, well aware of that fact, but he's in 14th here, and Matteo's fighting for the win again. You can't do this week in week if you want to try win a championship. He's got to try his best here, and it's got to be difficult because he's got Will Murdoch behind him now. I've said it many a time in an F2 stream. The one man you want when you're fighting for someone, the one man you don't want behind you when you're fighting someone is Ian Van Unen. Oh, Tellez into the wall. He was side by side with Jacob Gonius. He has been hit into the wall. The virtual safety car has been deployed. He is parked at a pretty dangerous location. And there was a front wing absolutely smashed. Tellez started this evening very well, was high up in qualifying, but unfortunately the brilliant Brazilian is not really on a increasing trend. And the man in the Williams machine, of course, was P15 in the PSGL F2 Championship last season. Unfortunately for him, it's looking like it's going to be a similar status come the end of the season.
I think Max made a crucial error there. I think he should have pitted. Under the VSC,
Smith is.
Yeah, but he's going to go for like a double medium or something. I think Max should have pitted towards a fresh set of hards, and he might have been able to just about reach the end of the race there. I'm not a strategic brilliancy or mastermind. I think that would have been a pretty good strategy. I don't understand why everyone else is going in, because it is just a virtual safety car, not a full one. So they will certainly be losing a lot of time, and a double medium strategy isn't that strong, and the tires won't last that long as well. So it will be very, very interesting to see whatever happens. It is a drive-through penalty. Max speeding under the VSC might as well gone in towards the pit lane. Lucky that no one who just came out of the pit lane did get that penalty. But Derek Smith, currently the man to watch out for, because if this strategy does turn out to work, he is certainly in the golden position. And meanwhile, you see a switch for the lead. It is Amateo going in towards the lead there in front of Flopman and Covers there. And everyone's been able to save up a little bit of ERS. And the question now is, will Dirk use this ERS to get back in towards that train from the top three? Because they're all so close towards each other. If they just bunch out a little bit, I think he should be able to get back in. It is oh so close now. 1,000 of a second. He just about didn't make it here. And he did. He did make it. Dirk back in towards the DRS. It was a 4-man's race turned in towards 3-man. And now the train is all the way from P1 down towards P10.
Covers almost pushing his teammate Flopman into the middle sector. Look, he's almost pushing him through the final sector. The two Mercedes are going to scrap. It's Aston Martin, Mercedes, Mercedes, Aston Martin. But the two Mercedes are starting to trip over each other at this Miami Grand Prix. Covers looked for the inside, but he can't do anything too stupid or too rash or too irrational, because he doesn't want to take out his teammate, and he almost slid through there. That was a bad slide for Covers. He's lost a lot of time, and now under pressure from Dirk. Is Dirk going to capitalise? No, that's the problem here. Covers might be the quicker Mercedes, but him and Flopman not working together has cost them both realistically here. However, there's a long DRS straight from turn number 8 down towards turn number 11 that will allow this to sort of even itself out, and we'll wait and see. Lap 8 of 29. We will see how this race plays out. Max von der Geest has served this drive-through penalties, and that's off his conscience at least. However, he's down in the fresh medium runners on an old set of mediums. That's not looking too great for him, to be honest.
It's definitely not Derek Smith anymore trying to go up the inside of Diogo Silva, making that move look very, very easy. And he's not all that far back, but 6 seconds and then needing to gain back up towards Jacob Konias. He's around 10 seconds back. Do I think he's able to make this? No, I don't think this strategy will be working out for Derek Smith, and especially not for everyone who is behind him. And Max, who had to do the VSC, is now very far back as well. Dirk, you're going past Covers. That is interesting. That is a DRS zone overtake, which you do not see it very often. And Dirk just working his way forwards really seems like Covers is struggling a little bit in towards the race. Now the question is if he's able to pick that back up. He has got Johan behind him, who's got an equal amount of ERS, so doesn't really have to fight him all that much. And Ghost King behind him, who's already picked up a penalty as well, which could be a very, very costly penalty. It is yellow flag in sector 1, and it's that Ian Van Unen. Who's gone round there?
I'm not actually sure. I thought it was either Ian or Jacob Konias, but they both seem okay, so I'm not too sure there.
It must have been Ian, because he was in the DRS train, and now he's not. So
maybe a 360 or something that he was able to continue on his path, but still lost a handful of seconds. Yeah, weird one that, but Van Unen's still okay, Jacob Konias still okay, and the medium runners have started to slowly encroach themselves on this hard tire train. Already taken Diogo Silva under their wing, and he's now behind Max van der Geest, and they're slowly making gains in Jacob Konias. And then, of course, Ian Van Unen, and making more mistakes. Oh, look at this!
What a move! That is such an unconventional place to overtake. I'm sorry to cut you off, Evan.
Nope,
but going around the outside there and keeping it in there, Johan was fully going for it and unfortunately just had to back out. But that would have been an absolutely incredible overtake if he did go for that. And once more, it is just a mistake from Covers, costing him lots and lots of time. And Fede, this might be the first time we see Fede up in the front of the race. He's always struggling or doing an alternative strategy. Is Fede the person you might need to watch out for? He's got a lot of ERS, seems to be in a very comfortable position right now. I think Fede is definitely one to watch out for. We were getting past Diogo Silva and still having Will Murdoch behind him. It's going to be interesting to see what those two do, because I know that Will Murdoch absolutely loves this track, but at the position he's currently in, he cannot do a lot. Knuf going up the inside of Max van der Geest, going for that move right there. Surely you're not making it 3 wide there, Will Murdoch. He is not, but he's making it 2 wide down with Max van der Geest trying to go up the inside there. Still giving it side-by-side throughout turn 2 and 3, and he still makes that stick, because turn 2 you don't really do a lot, and the inside of turn 3 means so much more. So he gets that move done. That tells me we're getting a penalty 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane. That is because he decides to retire. So not a great race for the driver who drives for El Plan, which is a new team, El Plan Racing. I've not seen more original names.
Yeah, horrendous name that. That's a really poor effort. But Tyler's out of the Grand Prix, unfortunately. Williams not having a good day. Flopman back into the race lead. The man who started this Grand Prix on pole position, but it's been swapping and changing. Oh, It almost looked like a bit of carbon fibre fell off the bottom of that Mercedes. Obviously it didn't, but he hockeyed over that curve, absolutely. Big DRS train, no, this is all the way down to Fede, or down to Zayn, apologies. Fede, I'd say, has led more laps this season than most drivers, but that's just because he stays out ridiculously long most weeks and ends up falling down the order. Fede, of course, driving for the Alfa Romeo team. In terms of the championship, he's 12th on 20 points, so it's not the worst, I mean, but you obviously want to break into that top 10 realistically. That's sort of the goal, but we'll wait and see because this is the top 10 pretty much in one camera shot almost on your screen down the back of the grid. This is side by side between Macho and Max van der Geest. Max van der Geest stays behind for the time being, and here comes Macho cutting through the field now. He's going to try and get past Zayn in towards the right hand. There was actually a purple final sector for Macho there, weirdly enough. Not the fastest lap, but a purple final sector. And he's now up to 15th place. Will Murdoch has also got past Newt. And they're now 3.7 seconds adrift of Dara Smith. So Dara has really good pace here because he's on the back of Jacob Konius and he's broken the gap to Will and to Newt. One thing about Will in this track, a couple of seasons ago he dived someone from about 250 metres back into the final corner. So don't doubt that Will... don't doubt Will Murdoch is all I'm going to say. And here comes Fede. Now, on the outside of Johan, we saw Johan with a very impressive move through here. He's not going to be able to repeat that on Fede. Fede gets the job done. This is all bunching up very close here at the top of the train.
It certainly is, and then we started talking about pit lane games again. But let's first talk about who's doing really well in this train and who's not maybe all that comfortable. Flopman has a lot of ERS. Matteo has a lot of ERS and now the lead because he didn't even have to use anything. Just DRS able to make that move easily. They've been swapping for a little bit now, going back and forth. It is side by side. Meanwhile, further back, it is Ghost King and Johan trying to make a move there. And I do believe that Johan must have gotten past Ghost King, but I could be wrong in that.
No, he was ahead on the straight, so I think that was Ghost King just having an unsuccessful go at Johan. Oh, Johan breaks very late. Could be under pressure here from Ghost Kings on the run down towards turn number 4. No, Ghost Kings wobble on the curb. Those curbs through the first sector are really slippy. They sort of chuck your car around a little bit, and you almost feel like it's going from underneath you. This Alpine is also incredibly shiny for some reason. I'm not too sure why, but it looks like it's almost a metallic paint here around Miami. We'll wait and see. That could be just me making a weird observation. Race lead may change hands here in towards turn number 1 once again, but there's no battery being used by either driver. This is the race management we saw in Spain, isn't it?
It certainly is the management that we saw in Spain, but indeed the cars look a little bit more different, especially if you go on board with the Alfa Romeo.
Let's have a look.
It is shiny.
Wow.
On the head. It's an improvement. I mean, it's all of a sudden, maybe that's why the servers are so slow. They're worried about making the cars shiny again.
Oh, there's probably an F1 battle pass or whatever it's called, pit pass. Yeah, there's probably a new helmet or something. That's why it's slow.
Yeah. I mean, we currently got Fede with a Ferrari helmet in an Alfa Romeo, which might be the issue.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't like. There's a weird combination of cars and helmets. Oh, there's actually a McLaren helmet on board Flopman, but there's also Flopman's front wing into the gearbox of Matteo for a brief moment for that final corner. That got a little bit hairy into there. Is Flopman able to go for the move in towards the first corner? No. Flopman is trying to stay behind here, but he's almost being forced into a move because Matteo's teammate is behind Flopman. And obviously, if Matteo and Dirk are working together, I'm not sure if they are, not sure if they aren't. If they are working together, the goal here would be to have Dirk behind Matteo doing the saving.
Everyone in that last corner bunched up and hit each other. It was Kovas nearly going fully round because of contact with Fede. So that was interesting. What I do know is that the ETA or the engineer of Mateo was asking for gap to leader, and then he got told off.
I gave him it for 2 seconds. I gave him it for 2 seconds. Says, oh, look at this Flopman trying it around the outside. He got a run and a half here on Matteo. Got the slingshot out of the corner, and now Flopman is going to try lead this Miami Grand Prix. Absolutely does. Flopman is back on top here at Miami. We're almost getting to the halfway point in this race, though. I mean, this is going to be decided by the strategy, I think.
I mean, at the end of the day, every single race gets decided by strategy or due to a safety car. But let's not say that all too loudly, because otherwise Bas Bremer gets nightmares again. But we got both Aston Martins who are currently with a lot of ERS working together. It is currently Mercedes versus Aston Martin. And both Aston Martins are in a good spot as well for the Constructor Championship. Mercedes maybe not so much, a little bit of a relook there from Flopman, losing a little bit of time, but no real move going to be happening in towards that first corner. So it's interesting if Fede will be making a move shortly on covers, but this is the pit lane lap. You can pit from this moment onwards. First pitter, Zane. Ian van Hunen follows as well because he needs to undercut to get back in towards this train. But don't be surprised if Zane, after this lap, will be leading. Because the undercut is quite big here and the train is so bunched up and not far quick enough. I think if not many people pit, Zane could be leading for a little moment.
Well, let's wait and see how this one plays out. It's an intriguing race for sure. Lap 14 out of 29, if you're just joining us. A big welcome along on the third final round of the season here at the Miami Autodrome for the PSGL F2 Championship. Your championship leader currently second. Your championship challenger currently 12th. Your championship leader is now going to be leading the race. No, lifts off at the last minute. And almost as his teammate park up into the back of him. Got to be careful there with Dirk behind you. And we'll wait and see how this one plays out. The Mercedes of covers still right in the tail as well. And these guys are backing each other up a lot here. And Pyman, you make a very good point. Zane could be leading this one with the undercut. Well, or certainly in the provisional lead. Because, of course, we've got a lot of cars in front of him who've already made one pit stop in this race. But we are guessing that they're going to have to make one more. Or if Tara Smith has just been uber cool on his tyres, could he make the end of the race? Although saying that, he's now on the back of this train. So he's not lost out an awful lot here, and he can also make another pit stop with these guys and take the race lead. Okay, here we go. Covers and Fede into pit lane. Let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, let's see how it does play out. He's gained up towards this train a lot quicker than I did expect, but he didn't have any ERS to really make any statement overtakes. I do believe he went past Phil, or Phil has gone with him for a long, long time. But let's see where these drivers come out, though. Let's go on board with Zane, because Zane is coming up towards the main straight right now, and it seemed to be it was a 45.5, so there's a pretty solid outlap. Now, seeing at the end of the pit lane there, ooh, he is ahead. Oh, and the teammates collide. Fede and Zane, both the Alfa Romeos. That's not what you wanted to see, because I'm sure these two guys are in a party together, always working together, and that is absolutely nightmare stuff. Fede gone fully round after the slightest bit of contact with his teammate, and Zane isn't even ahead of Covers. He is behind there, and Covers now is going to be doing the undercut towards everyone else. And now the question is Bas Bremer smart enough to let Amateo do an overcut?
Well, let's wait and see, but certainly the ball is in Covers' court, and that's a disaster for Alfa Romeo, who've already regressed to this season. They were third last season in the Constructors' Championship. They're looking like they're only going to be 7th or 8th this season, and they could have done with some good points here today. Today was the opportunity for it, and unfortunately they have collided with each other. Still good points for Zane, and maybe Fede won't report that because they're teammates, so on and so forth, but still not great. Will Murdoch getting past Shizou Macho. Let's see, Matteo is in, Flopman is in, Dirk is going to be the one producing the overcut for the Aston Martin team. Dara Smith is going to go long as well here, and we'll see how this one plays out. But the real thing is going to be can Covers take the lead of this race? He's actually side by side with Zane. Zane's actually gone up the inside of Thomas Covers here. The Dutchman's lost the position to Shizou Zane. Zane is not letting that moment with his teammate get in on his head too much, because he is ahead of the man we thought leading the race. Here he goes in towards turn number 1 and 2. There is Flopman. Zane is ahead. Is Covers ahead? The two Mercedes. Oh, it's happened again! It's a collision between both the Mercedes cars. Alfa Romeo on lap 15. Mercedes on lap 16. The Miami Autodrome pit lane is the real deciding factor in this race. Flopman and Covers go spinning down the order in unbelievable fashion. Is the overcut the better strategy? Maybe not, but it's certainly collision avoidance.
No real overcut happened. I would love to see if TF10 Dirk stayed out for 3 more laps now, and he could certainly be someone that could win. And otherwise, Derek Smith maybe, because he is on the strategy that is needed. But it is 2 Mercedeses and 2 Alfa Romeos coming
together. They were 1-2 in qualifying. It was a front row lockout, and now it's a disaster for Mercedes. This is their new precedent that's being set here in PSGL F2. Mercedes cannot win races when the odds are in favour of them.
It isn't just like Spain 2016, but it does give me flashbacks like that. It is the 2 Mercedeses colliding with each other, but this time one of them survives, and you had a young rookie or someone who you didn't really expect to win come out on top. And we have one young rookie in this race, Derek Smith. We got two Mercedes colliding, but is the young rookie going to win? That is the question at this moment. And I'm sure, Evan, that you would definitely not mind seeing the Irish flag back on top of the podium if the Irish flag even is in the game.
Okay, he's now said Irish more than me, and of course it's in the game, for God's sake. You would have seen it in the PSGL commentators race if I wasn't a bottle job and ran a Ferrari's rear, but we'll wait and see. Here comes Darragh Smith, leads the Miami Grand Prix. He is, we're guessing, a two-stopper, but technically he's on a similar strategy to Dirk here, because they can both overcut the field. Darrag's just gone the long way about it, and he's made another pit stop, but technically they are on the same strategy, because they're going to go for a set of mediums, surely. Or how far can a set of softs go, even? Well, Murdoch picks up a 3-second time penalty, and also, sorry, look who's emerged himself in 5th. Oh no, he hasn't pit yet, Newt. But Ian Van Unen is who I was going to say, is now in race-winning contention again. He snuck his way back into it.
He definitely has. Playing the strategy and playing his cards exactly right.
Dirk is in.
I mean, is Dirk in? Ooh, that's early. If I was doing an overcut, I think they would have done one more, and plus those tires are definitely not making it. I think we will be running punctures if they keep going, and this whole train will be catching them at least all the way up towards Will Murdoch. I think Derek Smith maybe could do it. The question is, though, will his tyre survive at that moment? And is it not smarter for him to do eventually make that pit stop? Because he was with, who was he with? It was TF10 Dirk. And Dirk's now come out just behind that whole train. So I think it is really smart for Derek Smith to make a pit stop on lap 19 or 20. Go for a new set of mediums because the softs absolutely reek around here. And then continue going.
Oh,
There's a yellow flag and it is covers again, going from bad to worse. Max van der Geest on towards a set of the soft tyres.
Go on, Max. Give us an interesting strategy. Macho gets past Will Murdoch. This is the battle for second now, and you're just behind this one. Covers in the championship. I'm looking at his form. He seems to have a good race, a DNF. A good race, a DNF, a good race, a DNF. This was supposed to be his good race, so that trend won't continue. People in the comments saying, is there any teammates here? I'm not sure. Although we do very much state on these broadcasts that this is an individual championship. As much as you got to help your teammate a little bit, these guys are racing here to prove themselves and to prove that they can do it in the top league, which is PSGL F1, which is on now, but their race doesn't start for a few more minutes. Covers has picked up a 3-second time penalty. I would not be surprised if there is a pull into the pit lane and he retires. Speaking of pulling into the pit lane, it's Darragh Smith. It was a lap earlier than you predicted, Timon, but it is a new set of mediums.
It's not all that bad. I do believe that most race clutch boys bid around that lap, which was successful in PSGL F4 and PSGL F2. So it is certainly a good strategy.
Oh, he's out of Jacob. Okay, so that's crucial, because there is a bit of a gap there. If he had fallen behind Jacob Conius, I wouldn't have liked to see how it works out. But it goes to show what the undercut does. Look how far Dirk is up the road, and he literally pit one lap earlier. That is covers into the pit lane. It is a double DNF. For Thomas Covers. For a man who came into this season thinking that he could be promoted to F1 before the season ended, he's not really proved himself, has he? He has in qualifying, but not in the race. But this one was bad luck. I will admit this one is just horrible luck, and the two Mercedes were in a very compromised position. And will the stewards look at it? I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if Flopman and Covers will report each other, if that makes sense, because they are just harming the team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Although Flopman is a reserve, I do believe, so I don't know if he gets.
Oh, he is, yeah. Oh, sorry. It's obviously Zorzo's in that team. Going to be a swap for the race lead here. Actually, Will Murdoch is going to lead a PSGL F2 race. No, sits behind. I should know that by now. That drivers tend to do that a lot.
I mean, they're just trying to work together, but it's interesting that these drivers are staying out. Next lap is the last lap to really pit, and otherwise they're going to do 23 laps on mediums.
Skyline is in.
Possible. If I was at my PC, I would have had an exact statistic to see if it was possible. But I completely forgot the statistic because I actually did test the medium tire lifeline or how long they were good for, but I completely forgot the number.
Surely, if you're Macho or Will at this point, though, you are just goal hanging for a safety car, really.
Yeah, because especially
Because even
seeing how
Matteo is he's only 2 seconds behind. He's going to take them. So you're just gambling here.
yeah, Matteo and Ian Venuto are really going to catch up really, really quickly. Flopman's in that train as well. Don't count him out. Same goes for Zane. I don't think Zane's going to get a penalty as well. If we're talking about teammates not reporting each other, Zane and Fede, very good friends. Two Italians driving for Shizu. Unless they start a massive argument over this, I'm pretty sure that this will not be reported.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Zane outside of the DRS range, 1.5 seconds, and he doesn't look like he will be catching or getting back in anytime soon. Do not be surprised if Flopman goes for a move on Ian next lap on the long straight.
Newt could sneak a couple of points here as well. There's a lot of penalties in front of him, and of course we've not seen those top two pit yet. And look, there could well be drama here. Johan has to sit behind. He was boxed in by Dirk and Phil. Dirk's going to take the both of them in towards turn number 7. Dirk on a charge here, Simon. Would you rule him out yet? Would you still think there's a chance here for him?
No, I think he wins.
Oh, okay.
I think he wins this on 2-lap fresher tyres. He's certainly able to get fully back in. And if Armateo, Ian Vanuna, and Flopman fight only a little bit, he fully gets back in. He's got a decent-sized battery as well. He will get DRS on the next lap. Should be able to get past Zane already on the long straight. Because there's 4-lap tyre difference, we'll be able to narrow the gap down very nicely into this set of corners. I think Dirk can definitely win this. And that's what I'm saying with how OP the overcut is around here and on this game in general. You see how much he gained there. He gained 7/10 in those two corners really, and now he will just only use the DRS because he sees up ahead.
Oh, Matteo's trying the Hakkinen move in towards turn number 11. They've got past the AlphaTauri. Oh, contact between the two. Matteo was trying to get both of them in towards turn number 11. He has. It's an exquisite piece of driving from the championship leader. If he was to win this race, this would really set a potential championship victory in stone for him. Now the conundrum comes because Matteo is leading. If Dirk catches up to Matteo, what happens there? That's another interesting thing to go for. Here comes Vanoonen looking for this one on Macho. He wants to try get the position, but Macho almost pushing him into the wall there. Vanoonen still going to commit to the inside of the corner. The Ferrari almost being shoved into the wall. There's a lot of curbage and a lot of space in the outside of that corner, so you can go side by side on exit. That's what they've done. Vanoonen has come out on top. He's now behind Will Murdoch. Will, of course, a stand-in teammate. Will actually started the season. A Ferrari! Flopman down the inside of Vanoonen. That one's not worked out. That one's not going to work out in the month of Sundays. I think he's completely outbroke himself there as Flopman. And somehow both surviving. That's it. In the pit lane is Danielle retiring, so we won't get a safety car or a virtual safety car off the back of that. But we will wait and see what happens. Phil has managed to get past Johan. Good race this from Phil. Fairly underrated drive. Flopman has now got past Ian Vanoonen. We just cut away at the wrong time. Timon, did you catch that one?
Yeah, he just went fully up the inside there, and it's not like there's a massive tyre wear difference. It is just 2 laps only, and Flopman just really showing off how brave he is, how much he wants it. Both drives on 0% ERS. Ian Vanoonen trying to go around the outside, but Flopman covering that up very, very nicely. Will Murdoch, though, still surviving up in second place, but unfortunately for him, he does have a penalty, but he has given Armateo a 1-second gap. Flopman will be able to get him, though. Yeah, Flopman will be able to get him at the latest stage. Ian Vanoonen with a penalty. That is race over for him, unless he got a warning at an earlier moment, and he will be able to remove that. But we definitely will not know that. Now, Flopman able to go in towards second place there, because easily with the DRS able to go for that around the outside. Is Ian Vanoonen going to follow around the outside as well? You will. Are Ian Vanoonen and Will Murdoch going to fight? Same car, not going to really work together. Will Murdoch, again, seeking it up the inside, but not really going towards a move there. And Will Murdoch and Macho really needing to work together at this moment. And look who's arrived in the massive train. It is TF10 Dirk. 30% of ERS means that he should be able to get past Will Murdoch and Macho pretty easily. And then the question is he able to catch back up towards his teammate? Because he definitely did get an escape jail for free card by just having Will Murdoch and Macho defend there, and he is now outside of the 1-second range. And Bas Bremer must be absolutely loving this, because he's seeing his driver extend more and more in the championship, whilst the championship rival, the German of NLR Knuf, is only in P12 on the freshest tire compared to everyone around him. But once he overtakes Jacob Koenius, he needs to gain 5 seconds. Will Knuf get points? Likely not, or only very little. Will Armateo get points? Definitely. How many though? That is the question.
What a move from Dara Smith there, by the way. Swapped Johan in and out. Dirk now has made his way and is cutting through the train. He's going to cut through it like a knife through butter. He's not going to cut through Will Murdoch like a knife through butter, because it's Will Murdoch. He'll race for 17th if there's a bag of Watsits going for it. That's how competitive Will is. Dirk is going to find this one difficult. Flotman has caught back up to Matteo. He's now fairly close, and they're both kind of at race management stage. Dara Smith is still in with a shout here. Maybe an outside shout, but still in with a shout, that's for sure. Dirk is past Will Murdoch. Will, not really much he can do at this stage. Those tyres are just dead, and there's not an awful lot Will can do. But I gotta say, wherever he ends up here, it's still going to be a good performance from Will, because he could still sneak a point or two. And that's a job well done when maybe at the start of the race you didn't look like you were going to get a point. He was battling for 16th and stuff earlier on in the evening, so we'll wait and see. Dirk now next on his hit list, that is Ian Van Una, who he's going to get past anyways for the penalty count, but he's got to get past them if he wants to get past the rest of the drivers. So an overtake is still going to be on the cards here. Dara Smith is 7/10 of a second behind Macho, who's 1.8 behind William Murdoch. So Dara's got to get past Macho here and almost sliding it into the wall like we saw in qualifying. He's got to get past Macho here and then get on his bike a little bit. He'll catch up to Will. It's just about where he can go after that is the case. He'll get past Macho in towards turn number 11 here. Again, not really much the 17 lap all medium runner can do about it. That's just unfortunately how life works. But battle for the race win is between Matteo, Flotman and Dirk. Ian Van Unen almost capitalising on a Flotman mistake there as well. This is getting very, very close at the Miami Autodrome.
It certainly is. Let's just go on board with Dirk and let's see this magic unfold, because up ahead it is Flopman versus Ian Van Unen. Ian Van Unen going up the inside and trying to make that move happen, still side by side, and he does now fully successfully make that move. But Dirk sees a lot of people flashing. It is the switchback from Flopman. Oi, 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 oi. That is exactly how you do a switchback. You let the other driver overtake, you go a little bit wide and then just capitalize on the exit, again opening the door around the outside and then just slamming it shut, not giving Ian Van Unen any opportunity to really go past him. And now the question is, how long is he able to keep up Dirk? Because Dirk wants to get past as soon as possible, because he does still have Derek Smith. Oh my God, Smith, a massive mistake there, and all the way back down towards P8. Sorry for the wording there, but wow, there goes the race of Derek Smith. It is all over for him. Dirk, meanwhile, making a move on Ian Van Unen again at a corner where you do not expect it. Everything is happening at the same time. Can Dirk win it? Is he able to get past two more cars in 4 laps? I think he is. And now a move for the lead, because Flopman going past Mateo.
And there's actually a second gap between Matteo and Dirk here, so we'll have to wait and see. Okay, they've caught up. Dara Smith, very unfortunate for him. He's now trying the outside of Phil. He's caught in a battle here. He's going to find it very hard to break out of this train, because his tyres are slowly getting closer to the rest of the field, and that advantage will diminish. So we'll have to wait and see how he plays his cards here. But honestly, a 4th place is still a fabulous result for Dara Smith in his return to the F2 Championship. Here comes Matteo going for the race lead. No hanging about here. Matteo knows his teammate is a hot shot here in this one, and his teammate wants this race win. Smith past Phil. Another good, I'd just like to reiterate, this is a good race for Phil, of course. Even if it was 7th place, still a good race for Phil. In that Haas car, he is, of course, just replacing Kartzer, so... or Kart Racer, I should say. He'll be back next week, hopefully. But we haven't seen Kart Racer in weeks, so it could be Phil back in that car for a 3rd consecutive week. Lap 26 of 29. It's 10 lap all mediums for Matteo and Flotman. It's 8 lap all mediums for Dirk. Battery all sort of in a similar situation. They'll all be burning pretty heavily now at this stage of the race, because, of course, the fuel is... getting lower. We've only had the one VSC here. Will there be fuel issues? Well, probably not. These guys can do a good job on managing it, and they know the correct levels to put in, or certainly their engineers will, such as Bas Bramer and whoever else. We like giving Bas a bit of credit here, because he's pulled off a masterclass once again. Dirk now going for the outside of the Mercedes. Dirk's not been in second in this race yet in this battle. He's trying the long way. The Aston Martin teammate maybe trying to box off the Mercedes in towards now the very tricky left-hander, still side by side into here. This is risky territory. They got to back out. Oh, Dirk, 3 seconds. Will that be removed?
That. Certainly, yeah.
Potentially, but there was also, if we thought, a dead set penalty removed last week, and it wasn't. but the provisional winner will not likely be Dirk here, and that always puts the result in jeopardy.
It definitely made it interesting, but that just going side by side there, he was unable to get back on towards the track on time.
He certainly tried to back out.
I think he certainly, you can, I guess, technically say he was pushed off the track in that case. But it is so narrow, this will be an interesting one to see what happens. Derek Smith, though, back up towards P5, and it should theoretically be P4 for him, so still an incredible drive.
Theoretically P3.
Will Murdoch, he's going to get a
sorry.
puncture. I don't know how he's still surviving. Clearly showing off his pace, the Olympian, but if you drive over the curbs like that, you're not going to get really far. And you just see Phil behind him. He must be absolutely furious, wanting to go past him as soon as possible and try to follow along with Derek Smith. But because of those mistakes, Derek Smith is long gone. A little bit of ERS used and Phil easily able to go up the inside. Who's going around the outside, though, is Ian Van Unen on the long straight, still side by side with Flopman, who's latest on the brakes. Flopman's latest on the brakes by freaking far, and he outbrakes Ian Van Unen, stays in second place. Incredible racing from Flopman.
Yeah, really good from Flopman. Flopman showed his class maybe a little bit here this evening, but he's got work to do. The championship leader at this point is going to just be thinking, do I settle for second if he gets past? But no, that's not a racer's mentality. He wants to win. He wants to win another race this season. Matteo burst onto this championship scene with a win in the second round of the season at Lusail. Ian Van Unen now trying the outside. Flopman breaks really late. He's not trying to switch back this time. He's on the inside. He's going to force Ian a little bit wide and sits behind. Has to sit behind for now, does Ian Van Unen, but we'll wait and see can he go for it. Maybe heading through this right-hander. This is going to be a fantastic last lap. Going to be a fantastic penultimate lap. It's been a great race, actually. I didn't really think Miami would provide this much overtaking, but it's been overtaking from the start, realistically, here. Especially when you had a few two-stoppers and stuff as well. That really threw a spanner into the works. Dar Smith's got a second in the last lap to this train. Not over maybe just yet, but it's going to be a long shot certainly. If that penalty doesn't get removed from Dirk and he makes no mistakes from now to the end of the race, he is theoretically on a PSGL F2 podium, but we will wait and see. There's a long way to go here in this one. Van Unen burning the battery, wants to be in second position for the final lap potentially here, wants to be in first position for the final lap. We'll have to wait and see. Tucked into the slipstream with Matteo, down towards the left-hander, return number 11, no good for now.
Yeah, Ian Van Unen just fighting really hard, and it does really help out Mateo there, which is frankly a little bit interesting when we don't go
Newt in the
details
points,
at
actually.
that moment.
Oh, Macho's run wide. That puts Newt into the points, and he's within 3 seconds of Will Murdoch. Kleiman, let's have your expert opinion one more time here. Who wins this race?
Mateo, easily.
Well, here we go then.
It's changed around, but Ian Van Unen now going up the inside, especially if he can get past Flopman now. It is all game done. Flopman box in towards the outside line, cannot do a lot. Mateo wide though, not the greatest exit for Mateo. And now on the throttle, Ian Van Unen certainly hasn't
Here
moved
we
on.
go then.
But is he going to try? Oh my days!
Oh!
It's all over. It is all over. Flopman collides with Ian Van Unen, and it's probably a penalty on Flopman. His name is Dirk now. If he's able to get in towards second place, he might be able to challenge his car teammate Mateo.
Well,
now.
let's see.
And
Flopman, oh so wide, heading through there. He was almost off into the barriers. Dirk does have that penalty, of course, but that may be removed. Matteo is in a fantastic position here in terms of the championship. But we will wait and see. Dower Smith as well, don't count him out. He could take a podium now from here on the racing surface. But we'll have to wait and see. Now it's a scrap really between Flopman and Dirk. Matteo not quite in this one. Or sorry, Matteo not in this battle. He's up the road a little bit. Dower Smith 1.2 behind. He might look to get into the DRS onto the final straight. Flopman not able to get the job done. He'll love it. Flopman's opinion will obviously be that Dirk shouldn't get that penalty removed. Dirk's will differ as Ian Van Unen and Newt now are battling. Newt is slowly making his way in here. He's trying to save his championship endeavour. It's the back straight for the final time. Under the freeway, Newt's picked up a penalty. It's all going wrong for the German because his championship protagonist, his championship rival, is driving home cool, calm and composed. Once again, we said he had a chance of winning this Grand Prix. It was looking like his teammate was going to be the bearer of bad news, but Matteo, the Italian, will come home and win once again in PSGL F2. It's an Aston Martin 1-2 on the road. It's Flopman in second and Dara Smith will take his first ever PSGL F2 podium with third. Of course, it's all provisional for the time being. The stewards will get involved after, but for now, that's your top three. Newt has a solitary point for his efforts, but game, shot, and potentially match for Matteo next weekend, or next Monday, I should say, as we head to the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. What a Grand Prix here at Miami. Timon's going back to his other microphone. What a race, and very controversial, but we wouldn't really have it any other way, would we? That's Matteo's fourth race win of the season. He won in Qatar, he won back-to-back in Monza and Singapore. Potentially king of the street tracks is Matteo. We will have your podium, your driver, your in-game driver of the day is Will Murdoch, who brought those mediums to the end. A valiant effort from the usual Gran Turismo expert, but if you've ever played the Gran Turismo game, you'll know that driving on punctured F1 tyres is better than driving on the racing hards. Here is Matteo on top of the podium.
Yeah, certainly. An absolutely incredible race driven by Matteo. It is what he needed for the championship. And hopefully we can get a word from him. I don't believe we have heard Matteo all that much so far throughout the season. So it would be nice to see.
I think we heard from him at Monza.
Yeah, but I mean, home race, obviously you have to do it that way. But wow, it was an incredible race. A few penalties that will be removed, a few penalties that will stay. But Matteo, we will get a word from him this time around. So hopefully, yeah, I mean, we need to calculate quickly because I don't think he's champion just yet. Because we got 2 more races to go and he doesn't have a gap for 2 races.
Just yet. No one said that.
Oh, I'm counting. Hold on. My brain's not so big. Hello. I'm not Evan Dalton.
Wide open for the constructors actually as well, because Mercedes will still get decent points. So
yeah.
So, well, actually, no. I suppose it's going to be a double.
Yeah.
Maybe Aston Martin. So we'll wait and see. But your full race results, nevertheless, in Miami, it is of course Matteo, Flotman, Dara Smith, Dirk, Phil. What a race from Phil, 5th spot. Johan, Zane, Will Murdoch, Ian Van Unen, Newt, Jacob Conius, Fede, Diogo Silva, Max van der Kies, Ghost King, Skyline, Macho. And your non-finishers were Danielle, Covers, and Tales. We are hopefully going to hear from some drivers. Yes, here is your race winner, Matteo. No, that's not Matteo I've brought in. That's Dara Smith I've brought in. Here's Matteo. We are going to hear from Matteo and Dara. Not sure if we will hear from Flotman, of course. His all emotions running high. But Matteo, can you hear us?
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'm going to hire you up just a little bit, but we can hear you. Matteo, 4th win of the season. Worked hard for it, but you've got to be happy with that one, surely.
Yeah, decent quali. Just aimed for a good position to not be in trouble in the race. And then yeah, I went for a really risky setup because there were a lot of conditions where that setup could have been wrong, like an early safety car or something like that. But then yeah, I think it paid off. I think you saw me going way faster on the streets than basically everyone else, and yeah, that allowed me to basically control the race as I wanted. As long as I was in P2 or P1, I could make my rhythm basically. And yes, that's it. We just managed the traffic well, and that's the 4th season. That's the 4th win of the season.
In terms of the championship, you're in a really good position now. You can wrap it up next week with a good race. Silverstone next week, of course. This time next week, will we be talking to you as the F2 champion?
Yeah, that's the aim. I tried to go into this race with a match point already, but due to that unlucky safety car, I couldn't. And then, yeah, I was just seeking for revenge tonight, getting what I deserved last week. And yeah, I'm just going to try to wrap it up next week. All my 2 eyes will be pointed on Newt, obviously, because he's the only rival. And yeah, I'll just try to keep it clean as I did until now.
In terms of the strategy today, Baz was in our stream chat. He was very confident that you were on a good strategy today. Was what you did always the plan, or was there some amends made mid-race when you saw how things were playing out?
Yeah, having low wings, I always wanted to go a lap longer than the majority of the grid. So yeah, he told me to pit lap 14, but I told him to stay out because I wanted a fresher tire in the end of the race. Dirk got the best strategy, I think, because he was really close to me with 2 laps better tires. But with my setup, track position was really important. And as I said, we managed the entire race in a perfect way, basically. Always in the right position, with a decent amount of battery. And yeah, we managed to win, even though I think Dirk's strategy was better. But yeah, also ours was a really good one.
Timon, any questions?
I mean, my math certainly isn't the greatest, but I do believe like the Knut needs to get like a podium next time round to win. I would presume that you will be here for both rounds. Should we expect another win from you next time round, or for the next race will you be really just focused on the title and not necessarily the race result?
I'm just aiming to finish ahead of Newt. I've just been aiming for this for like 3 races or something, because I always knew he was my only rival for the championship race. So I'm just gonna try to finish ahead of him, and or at least not lose too much points and win the championship next race, because Bahrain isn't really my best track. So I'll try to wrap it up as soon as possible and not be in trouble in the last race.
Baz has just said that that's the wrong answer, by the way. Matteo, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on the win. And yeah, if everything goes well for you, we will talk to you next week as a champion.
Thanks, and as always, a shout out to Bas for engineering me. Spot on as always, so thank you very much.
Shout out to Baz. We won't, well, I mean, I've been giving him a few shout outs on the stream for some reason. We won't be hearing from Flotman, unfortunately, more than fine. So we jump to our P3 man, Dara Smith. I, of course, was very happy to have an Irishman back here on the race today. And now I have one on the podium. Dara, congratulations. It's an F2 podium at your return.
Yeah, can you hear me? All good?
Yes, yeah, all good.
Oh yeah, very good. Well happy to get the podium. It was an intense race. I was pushing since the pit stop. Went for the risky strategy because I saw Yarno doing it, so I was like, may as well go for it. It would be entertaining. So I was just pushing flat out. Made some good overtakes, had some good fights. So yeah, I'm very happy with it.
Timon, what is the driver we're currently speaking to's name?
Oh no.
I'm not even going to try because I know I shouldn't pronounce a G.
Darag Smith.
Darag Smith. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you next time round a list of Dutch names, and then you need to pronounce that correctly. Shall we do that?
I'm a league racing commentator. Every name is pretty much a Dutch name, but Dara.
I mean, I had to commentate recently over the Xbox fella guy, and then like it's like SC and then a Z. Like, how do you even want to pronounce that? So league racing names definitely difficult. But yeah, no, Derek. I mean, the Starboy. I mean, your number 1 fans in this voice chat currently, Evan Dalton, was very happy with you doing really well.
I'm so biased.
I was personally happy to see someone going for a later pit stop because I knew that the overcut would work. But obviously, you did a 2-stop strategy. How confident were you that that strategy was gonna work out as soon as you made that initial pit stop?
I wasn't really confident. It was just like go into the pit lane and hope that the VSE didn't end straight away. Because if it ended as soon as I went into the pits out, the race would have been over for me basically. So I got lucky that I stayed out just till I got to the end of the pit lane. And then I was way further back than I thought I'd be. So I was just flat out pushing. And then I caught up fairly well to the lead group. And then I probably went a lap too late. I probably should have followed Dirk into the pits. But obviously, for my first pit stop, I had the fresher tires, so I didn't lose that much time. But yeah, that's it really.
Obviously, you're reserved, so I'm not going to ask my typical championship cliche question. If you're joining us in Silverstone, and of course the season finale at Bahrain, can we expect maybe 2 more podiums?
2 more podiums. That's the plan if I get a seat anyway. That's the aim.
Well, thank you very much, Dara, for joining us.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciated. And congratulations on the podium. You can't get much better than that on a PSGL F2 return.
Thanks, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all we do have time for this week at the Miami Autodrome. What a week we had. Oh, I forgot I'm wearing a hoodie of Dara's rival team. I should have maybe said that. Cork are brutal, by the way. Oh, hold on. Is he still here? No, he isn't.
No, he's not.
Oh, I thought it was him. That was Timon laughing at me. Okay, that's fine. Timon, what can we expect next week?
I think hopefully 20 or 19 cars going around the track very fast. No, I think
Yeah,
we
thanks
will
for
be
that.
seeing some. I had to say that once this season. No, but it is Silverstone.
Will Buxton
So
Duncan.
yeah, massive DRS trains. Interesting overtaking opportunities. Some people trying to go for it at Maggots. But it's gonna be interesting. Not the most entertaining race. I have to be honest on that front. If I'm looking at the calendar and looking at races like, ooh, those could be exciting, this would probably be the one I would pick last. But it is not. With this grid, you never know what will happen, and I would certainly recommend to still tune in there because we will likely crown a champion because Armateo will only need a few points to beat out Knuf, and we also have a nice fight for P2 maybe if Zorzo is managing to put down a very good result around Silverstone, and we can have a very tasty final race as well.
Zorzo actually said in the stream chat that P2 is his goal. He just came back from his exam and said championship gone, I see, which is very disappointing with Zorzo. But P2, he's obviously still aiming for it. That means you're going to have to join us, aren't you? Next week, 7 p.m, PSGL F2. We're going to leave you go to the PSGL F1 action with Jess Games and Byron Hale. So make sure you go tune in to that. But from myself, from Timon alongside me, thank you very much for joining us. Have a good evening. Stay safe, stay well. We'll leave you with a word from our title sponsors, GT Mega. Bye-bye.
Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.